Hey guys, this is Tom from Numbers Game Lifestyle, and today we're going to be doing another case study in which a guy got laid from online, and it's that same guy, that Asian guy that got laid with the other chick before, okay? And he's getting laid again, except this time he's using online. And he writes fantastic lay reports, very detailed, provides a lot of details that we can comb through. Okay, so let's have a look and let's see if there's any improvements that can be made and what he accomplished and the things that he did really well as well. He calls it Pardon My Reach. Okay, it's the same guy as before. 5'10" Asian male. The girl that he gets laid with is a 5'6", half British, half Persian female, works in consulting. And for those who don't know, this guy is a finance guy. So I think that's probably like he's probably in a suit and, you know, looking very professional, and he's dating a lot of kind of professional women as well. Background: I've been trying to get some momentum recently, although ideally it would be through cold approach. The summer heat has made it a bit harder. Honestly, I'm just being soft. Regardless, I've been staying busy with online dating while cold approach isn't giving me the results I want. Yes, this is what I recommend as well, that you have both, fishing lines working for you. You've got your fishing line online and you've got, your day-to-day cold approach thing going as well. Don't limit yourself to one aspect of game. Use everything. Use everything available to you. The meet: matched a girl on a dating app. After I greeted her, she asked rock climbing ropes in response to a subtle implication on my profile that I'm into BDSM ropes. We chit-chatted a bit before agreeing to a coffee meetup. First date: at the coffee spot in the late morning, she came dressed about average, better than expected for a casual coffee spot. Conversation was pretty good. I talked about my explorations with BDSM, why I like it, why it suits my personality, etc. She was eating this up because she's into various kinks, and BDSM was something she's been very curious about, but hasn't had the chance to find a male partner for. It's kind of hard to go up to random guys asking if they would tie her up and trust them to do so. So she was licking her lips at the fact that I could be that guy. Yeah, I noticed a lot of guys are kind of going into this BDSM stuff for online dating. They hint at it in their dating profiles, and it does screen in women that are kind of into that thing, okay? And you're going to screen in women that are, more likely to hook up with you when you have that kind of profile that hints like, yeah, this is what I'm into sexually. Me personally, it's not my style, but a lot of guys do it, and a lot of guys, it helps them. She had an early day at work the next day, so she couldn't stay long. We just hugged goodbye. She has a pretty busy schedule with some big work projects coming up soon, so I put the odds at 50-50 that we'd see each other again. But stayed casual about it. You never know. I floated the idea that we could meet up next week, and she said she'd check her schedule. Yeah, here's the thing with these corporate types. I've dated some in the past, and they're kind of more masculine in the way they schedule things, right? Normally women are like, their schedules are so up in the air, like you don't know where they're going, like they don't know where they're going, they're always late. But corporate women are on time, okay? They are very regimented. They're not these floozies that are like late for everything. Their job, their career depends on their punctuality. So yes, in this case, like, these women are often very much on time and show up when they say they're going to show up. Second date: we ended up nailing a time and meeting the next Sunday, early evening, for a dessert. She made it clear that she wouldn't be doing any BDSM tonight because she has an early day the next day. I said sure and agreed to meet up anyways. Yeah, this is again the plausible deniability, okay? This is her saying like, it's not gonna happen, just so you know it's not gonna happen. It means it's gonna happen, okay? It's code for try to make it happen. Casually floating, seeding the idea that maybe we can stop by my place on the way home, get a feel for the environment, and build comfort for BDSM some other day, which she has been receptive to. Anyways, the second date was good. She showed up in a tight-fitting, flowy outfit with heels, much more dressed up than the first date. We talked more about our sexual preferences in the past, and I experimented with a vibe of, I've had some interesting experiences in the past, but I'm not overly narcissistic about them. I'm mostly looking to be my authentic self with other like-minded folks. full of respect and love for women, basically a genuine man vibe. Conversation was as good as the previous date. The bounce pull. At the end of the dessert, I suggest we bounce and check out my place as agreed upon. I could make her some tea or a drink before she headed back home. She said sure, and we walked 5 minutes to my place. Yeah, okay, like I don't know why this guy believed her when she was like, like it's not gonna happen tonight. When women say that, they want you to try, okay? It's on their mind and they're hoping you try. Escalation. I showed her around my apartment, made her a drink, put on some classy music, and we just chilled. At some point, I asked her if she wanted to see my ropes, and she said sure, with a twinkling in her eyes. Ding, 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 ding. Green lights. It's finally like, if this chick was a green light from the get-go, okay? Like, she knew what she was getting into, and she was screened in, okay? I know she's trying to play it off like, I've never done this before. I'm not sure about this. I think she's done this before. I showed her my ropes and started explaining what type of fiber they're made of, how I store them, and why they're good or not good. She was clearly interested and eventually asked, maybe we could do a bit of ropes before I leave. I said, sure. Yeah, now she's like an active participant, okay? Like I said before, the light was green. As soon as she said, like, we can't do any BDSM tonight, it means it's going on. And she wanted it to happen, which is revealed right here. She's like, yeah, let's try the ropes out. So I made sure she was comfortable and began tying her up. This was a first for me, tying up a girl before having once had sex with her. I usually make it a very sexual, tension-filled experience, but I had to be a bit more circumspect in this situation. I went for a vibe of I'm going to politely tie you up and be very respectful and constantly asking for consent while providing as much of a sexual experience as you'll allow it to be. I started off by checking in on her constantly with questions like, is this too tight? But in a father-daughter way rather than a supplicating nice guy way. Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about this. You can read women's body languages, right? Like, it's not that difficult. You can tell if a woman's unsure and uncomfortable. You don't have to be like, can you sign this document so we can finally get in bed together? It's like, it kills a lot of the vibe, okay? As I continued creating the scene, eventually I got to the point where she was fully tied up, but I wanted to add this visual element of ropes coming out from the bottom of her dress. So I'd need to tie her ropes to her legs very close to her crotch. So I said, pardon my reach, but this will look very cool, and looked to her for a response. She gave a soft okay. So I tied the ropes to her knees and slowly and sensually worked her up the legs, all the way up just before her crotch. She seemed to react as I got really close. Of course, this is where the magic happens. This is where arousal happens, okay? Take it to the hole, okay? That's where, like, all the magic happens. I asked her, are you okay? She responded, I'm kind of loving this sensation, having ropes climb up my legs. At this point, I knew it was a sealed deal. Of course, this was a sealed deal from, like, the get-go, okay? With more experience, you'll be able to tell this. I asked if I could caress her, and so I moved my hands slowly and sensually over her entire body and slowly worked towards rubbing her, her magic bean and, the clam. I asked her if I could get a condom, and she said sure. This was way better, okay? This is how you do it. I don't know if he read my escalation guide, but he made a drastic change from when he was struggling with the last girl, trying to kiss his way, trying to make out with her for 2 hours before finally getting down to it. Here, it took like 2 seconds because he went to the, nether regions where the magic happens, where arousal happens. Good on him. I'm pretty sure he probably read my guide, okay? That's a drastic change from what he was doing before. Sex was great. She was very in tune with her sexuality and came easily. After sex, she had to run home to let her dog out, but she thanked me for a unique and wonderful experience. Good man. That's the way it's supposed to play out. Keys to the lay, being experienced with BDSM ropes. Unless you have some kind of sex-adjacent hobby like this, you'll never get a girl to agree to a date with you with a prearranged expectation that she'll check out your apartment afterwards. Highly recommended, but super fun too. This guy's a little bit out of the loop, okay? To think that you need to have BDSM to have women. I don't even go on dates with a lot of women. I have them come straight to my place to hook up, okay? And they never met me before. And I don't use any BDSM or hinting at BDSM at all, okay? So I don't know where he got this idea that, like, unless you've got a BDSM profile, this isn't going to happen for you. It's like, I've done way better than that without a BDSM profile, okay? It is not at all required, but it does help screen in women, that are curious about this and that are more sexually oriented, more hookup oriented. The genuine man vibe is something new I'm experimenting with. I used to be a nice guy that went full-blown narcissistic F-boy, which only works with some girls. Then I tried to tone it down and be more attainable, but ended up being too nice guy again. Now I think I figured out a balance that works for me. The key is to pre-display elements of high value and sexual prowess, in this case an expertise in BDSM, and only afterwards displaying hints of empathy and compassion. For example, telling a true story about how I once hopped out of a car to tell a girl she dropped her keys. I noticed that she and other girls I've been trying this with trust and want to move forward with me infinitely more than when I was going the high value F playboy vibe. Definitely something worth refining further. Repeatedly asking for consent. Usually this is a bit of a mood killer. Yeah, not something I really do. But in this case of a girl getting completely tied, restrained by a stranger, she needs to feel ironclad, 100% safe. I made it a goal to make her feel this level of safety, which is the only way this would have happened. I don't know. I think she was already DTF from the get-go. You don't need all this, like, does this feel good? Is this okay? I mean, we're not, really hurting her, are we? We're not doing anything against her will, are we? Why do we need to have all this, like, contracts and all this jazz? Go with the flow. The first vibe check date didn't go anywhere. I was fine with that. We might never see each other again, but I casually pinged her anyway for a second date. During the second date, she made it clear nothing was going to happen. Just to fill you in, dude, when women say nothing's going to happen, if you try, something's going to happen, okay? Every time I've tried, something's happened, and I was thanked for it later. You have to start reading between the lines with women. When they do this plausible deniability stuff, a lot of them do it. When guys are too rigid, they scare girls off. It's ironically the guys who could take it or leave it who girls actually want to be with. Agreed. Of course it's the guys that could take it or leave it, because it shows abundance. It shows you don't need women. It shows you get laid. It shows that you already have chicks, okay? When you're not desperate to get laid, she knows, oh man, this guy, probably sleeps with a lot of women, probably has a lot of options with women, which means he's a good guy, which means he's a high value guy because a lot of other women want him too. That's the way it works. It's all this pre-selection. That's the most powerful thing that attracts a woman, is the fact that other women want him. Okay? Just like when a woman goes to a restaurant, she doesn't care how good the food is. She cares how many people go to that restaurant. How big is the lineup? Food can be absolutely terrible, but if there's a big lineup, it's high status, and it's legit. It's the place to be. Just like if you have a lot of women in your life, the way you come off, your high status, you have options. It's the place to be. This is exactly why, guys that could take it or leave it end up, getting with the most women. They're not desperate. They're not, leaking out scarcity signals. So yes, all in all, this guy did great. It's like he read my guide. He read my critique of my last video, completely changed up his whole escalation process, and it was 1,000,000 times faster, okay, than what he was struggling with before. So yes, he learned from his mistakes and corrected it. Now it was way more streamlined, way more smooth. The sky's the limit for this guy. He can keep on going. Again, some of those things are a little bit naive, saying like, oh, you need a BDSM profile to, get women to sleep with you this quickly. It's like, no, you don't. You just have to ask them over straight to your place and have a really good profile, okay? If you need help doing this, having success online, just like this guy, it's very simple. Go on a few dates, and you have a hookup, possibly a relationship in the future. I help guys do that. There's coaching links down below. And of course, I guarantee your dating results, okay? If I can't solve your problems, I will give you all your money back. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Thank you for watching.